Hi, I'm back. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the Under Your Name Show. I'm Wendy. I'm so excited to be here. For those of you who are new to my channel, I used to be an ExJw for 3 decades, and I'm also a survivor of narcissistic abuse. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. Let's hang out. Let's talk about the things that we've been through, but most importantly, how we have pulled through and where we're at now. Before we begin, I'd like to thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Oh my God, you guys, the podcast is doing really well. And I'm so honored to have this community here. It just goes to show that there is hope and positivity and joy on the other side of high control religion and narcissistic abuse. Be sure to click that little bell at the top of your app. It just lets you know when we drop another video, and it can keep you up to date on all things devout. With that being said, let's get into our next topic. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been getting a lot of feedback from you, the viewers, about counting the wins. And I think one of the reasons why we don't count the wins is because in that religion, we were taught to never think anything positively about ourselves. For example, let me know if this resonates with you. You give a talk and you're not allowed to say, thank you, I worked really hard on that. No, you have to give credit to the academy, to the Holy Spirit, to the talk coordinator. You have to give thanks and gratitude to literally everyone. You can't focus on the good about yourself, but you are supposed to focus on your flaws. And this is something I really want to address. The other day I got a message from a friend online, and she's been on my channel before, and she said, you know, I'm out with friends right now, and I love these people. These are my, these women are in my community right now. It's just that I feel awkward. I feel socially awkward. I feel a little out of sorts being around them. And that prompted me to make this video for one very important reason. You're not awkward, and grief and survivorship, like we say all the time, is not linear. One of the most important things about counting the wins is that it gets you going. Really, our identity is getting wrapped up in being an ExJw. There are a few reasons why this happens. Your personal identity is wrapped up. Most people wrap up their personal identity in having, knowing, being, and doing. It's, if I'm not this, then who am I? If I'm not a stay-at-home mom, who am I? If I'm not making X amount of dollars, then who am I? If I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, what am I? See, these are the things that we are trying to unravel. And then what happens is we leave the organization, we're now ExJws, and we identify ourselves as ExJws. Sometimes what we believe in is not actually who we are, and it's evolving. Belief without evidence is by definition delusion. So you change your belief system. As we grow and evolve as human beings in our human experience, our belief systems are going to change. They're kind of fluid. Wrapping our identity up in what we believe can set us back, especially having just been through the trauma of leaving a high control religion. The other thing I want to make mention of is that is one of the biggest reasons why I don't do rebuttals on my channel. There is a lot to be said about coming on someone's channel who is working together side by side with you in this healing process, and then I pop up a video and have the governing body make a cameo on my channel. No, I'm not about that life. If I were to have the governing body on my channel, my goal is, and I mean in video, not literally. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the governing body coming on my channel? What's up? They would never. But Tony, if you're watching this, go to my website and schedule it. I'd love to have you on. Anyway, to have the governing body featured on my channel via the website, I would only be interested in picking out the psychology of the tactics that they use. You know, those are the things I'm really, really interested in. And the reason why I don't do rebuttals is also because you cannot heal if you go back to the place where we got sick. If on this channel we talk about healing and I left the organization, now what? It doesn't make sense to have the governing body on this channel for you to be triggered again. That's just not something I want to do. My whole goal as an advocate for ExJw women and moms especially, my entire goal is to have you not need my channel anymore. I know that sounds crazy. The point of the matter is that if I can walk side by side with you and help you not feel the way you might be feeling right now after leaving, my work here is done. If I keep bringing the governing body back on my channel, if I keep bringing up this information, to me, that is not moving forward. We want to get you to the point where you can look at jw.org with different ears and different eyes, because that's what I do. I look at their information. Sometimes I keep up with it, and I look at it now with a different pair of eyes and ears. I hear the words that they're not saying. I see the subtleties. I know the tactics that they're using. And if you're new here and you don't see those things, please be patient with yourself. This is why I'm doing this video on counting the wins. If all you did was breathe today, that's a win. If you're just waking up and you're feeling a whole bunch of different emotions at once, first of all, please get into counseling if that's the case. And if you feel unstable, please turn off this video and go call your counselor. But if you are feeling a certain kind of way, be gentle with yourself. Just know that whatever stage you're in of leaving the religion, your feelings are very valid. And full disclosure, just because some of us are further along in the journey, it doesn't mean that those things don't come back up, because they do. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when we leave, you can take the person out of the cult, but you can't take the cult out of the person. Sometimes in leaving the organization, those behaviors follow us. I am all about looking at patterns, habits, trends, and the way that things follow us. The way you do anything, unless you change your systems, is the way you do everything. So yes, you were taught to believe a certain way and act a certain way towards yourself and other people. Maybe since you left, you're a little bit judgmental of other people. Or maybe since you left, maybe you still are confused about morality and who's the foremost authority on that. That's okay. That's not considered a loss. A win is the fact that you're thinking about it. Even if all you've done is wonder, is this the true religion? That's a win. This can happen to anybody at any time. If you've been out for a certain amount of years and part of you still believes it, well, it's time to reevaluate why you still believe it. I also want to address the uncomfortableness that many people feel when it comes to birthdays and holidays. Sometimes when people leave the religion, they do whatever it takes to sin the JW out of their system. And sometimes, honestly, that's just not healthy. Just because you could doesn't mean you should, for the reason that your mental health is at stake. I'll give you an example. Somebody reached out to me on social media and they were dating someone, and I think they were in the early years of high school, and they were leaving the organization and dating someone, and they ended up doing things that young kids do. After that, this person felt horrible with the God guilt. The God guilt is the worst thing that can happen. And by God guilt, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this person felt terrible, even though they weren't going to meetings anymore, even though they claimed to leave the religion. They missed one key component. They didn't unravel the guilt and shame cycle. So sure, were they stripped of the ideology? Absolutely, they don't believe it anymore. But the behaviors, the patterns, they're still there. And these are the things we need to be aware of after leaving coercive, controlling situations, whether it's a toxic relationship, a high control religion. These behaviors that are deeply, deeply ingrained in us, you don't just get over them just because you don't believe it anymore. It is a huge undertaking. And it's called, the iceberg of healing. You only see the top, but what you don't see is all the work people are doing at the bottom of the iceberg. And so I just want to give you some encouragement here that sure, memorial season is upon us, right? And we know that now they're doubling down on people, the inactive ones, the disfellowshipped ones, the ones who were never baptized, come to the memorial. And it can be very triggering to be at ExJw during memorial season if you've not done the healing work. Wherever you are in your journey, if all you've done is just decide you don't believe it anymore, that's a win. If you're working on getting your children out and they're young, you have to think about why you're the one not believing it anymore, but you're still exposing them to the ideologies that you no longer believe. Why does the organization still feel safe to you? If you don't believe it anymore and you know what's going on, why does it still feel safe to you? Because sometimes our patterns of behavior need to change. And it can be scary. In fact, I just got off a call with someone, and you'll see the video. And, one of my favorite quotes, I forget who said it, is fear and faith are both belief in things unseen. So as very religious people, we once had faith, right? Faith, I'm not going to say it, is the assured expectation of things hoped for, the reality is not. Bing! King me. I was such a good pioneer. Anyway, Faith was belief in something we didn't see. I now know it's belief in something we didn't have evidence of, but I digress. But fear is the same exact thing. We have fear in things that we may have created in our minds. We have fear and anxieties. But here's the thing, once we leave and then anger sets in and we go through the whole process, first of all, anger is a secondary emotion. Anger is secondary to fear and sadness. So if you're feeling angry, feel angry. That just means you need to process fear and sadness. And those are very valid emotions after everything you have just gone through. And if sometimes that anger creeps up again, or that fear, or that sadness creeps up again, that's okay, that's a win. Like I say in every video, anger overturns injustices. Anger overturns laws. Anger can change so many things, but it's not the fact that we feel angry, it's what we do with that anger that means so much. Counting the wins also helps us get to our goals. Now, here's the thing, our goals may not be the problem, it's our systems. Say you want to do better in personal finance, you're not working on saving. And if you say things like, oh, I want to save more, or I want to buy a house, or I want to buy a car, I want to save up for a down payment. What are you doing to do those things? So essentially what we're trying to do is look at the goal, behave as someone who has reached that goal, find out what they did to get to that goal, and then work your systems, work backwards. I think all too often, because when we leave the religion, we get these really high, lofty goals, or maybe sometimes we're the complete opposite of goal setting, and maybe we're still grieving missed opportunities, or we're still grieving the loss of our youth, or maybe we're grieving the loss of people that are still alive. Whatever, it's all grief, and it all comes up random times, and sometimes it can hit you in waves. That's what grief is. But that doesn't mean we can't still set a goal. It's the systems that need to change. Systems are then put in motion by our behaviors. Our behaviors determine our systems. Our systems determine whether or not we reach our goals. You're still sitting in this range of emotions. Again, completely normal, but you want to change your life. The only way to change your life is to count the small things along the way. Right? Sometimes we set these huge goals and we're not reaching these huge goals, so we think we're not doing anything. And as human beings, we are very primal people. We are tribal. So did you log on to YouTube today looking for ExJw support? That's a win. Did you turn it off real quickly? I remember that. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I know exactly how that feels. Did you log into the Reddit group? That's a win. Did you start journaling? That's a win. And if these big tasks seem kind of difficult for you, for example, say you want to start journaling. Instead of focusing on a whole page, maybe just write one sentence per day. That's it. Just a sentence per day is all you need to worry about, is all you need to focus on. And if you've gone down the ExJw rabbit hole of doing research on the organization, maybe only limit yourself to maybe a few minutes a day rather than just nonstop. I was a nonstopper, I will say. There were a couple days there where I barely slept, barely ate. But that's just my personality type. I'm 100% invest in something and I can't talk about or see anything else. If that's your personality type, we could be friends. For the most of you who aren't insane and crazy like me, I highly suggest just bits and pieces and chunks of navigating your way out. My next video is going to be ExJw game plan. Condensed video with basic steps on how to find your way out. So if you're out with your non-JW community, or if you have a little trepidation about dating someone who's not a JW, whatever the case may be, just give yourself a little compassion and a little credit for being where you are right now. Maybe not comparing yourself to other people who are out celebrating holidays and you feel uncomfortable about them. Because I'll be honest, in the event of birthdays and holidays, most of the people in the free world outside of JWs celebrate the holidays because they're wrapped up in nostalgia and tradition and history. That's why the holidays are really important for most people. But for people like us who are, I don't know, lived a whole lifetime without them, there's nothing wrong with you if you just think, it's just not for me, right? But if your reason for not celebrating the holidays is simply because it's not for you, that's a win. But if your reason is because you still kind of have that fear of JW ideology knocking on your brain, that's okay. Give yourself more time, right? Give yourself more time. It's fine. You're watching YouTube. It's a really big deal. I hope you know this. I know one person that I spoke to, and the win that this person felt alive about was that they slept in on a Sunday. I know someone else whose win consisted of not logging into the Zoom call. Yeah, see, we are more alike than we are different. I know of another person whose win was saying no to a shepherding call or saying no to the CEO's visit. These are really big deals for us as ExJws. I know it sounds kind of insane to the rest of the world, but if these are any of your experiences, or I know someone who they didn't hand in their field service time at the end of the month, they totally ignored the text. That's a win. Littlest things mean so much. And for those of you who think that, oh, well, all ExJws, I'm not fully healed unless I'm an activist on YouTube. I can tell you, I can assure you, there are thousands and thousands of ExJws who are not on YouTube, which, by the way, this whole JW versus ExJW thing, I am really trying to get away from identifying myself as an ExJW because your identity gets wrapped up in titles. And again, as primal human beings, we are looking for community. That's what we've done. That's what our ancestors always did. You are part of a tribe, and if you leave the tribe, there have been studies done on people who are kicked out of their tribes. So I don't want to just say this is just a space for ExJWs. In fact, my content is going to be geared more toward mindset and things of that nature, because it's a universal problem, is that if mindset changes, behavior changes. If behavior changes, systems change. If systems change, goals could be reached. As always, I am so thankful to have you here. I'm grateful for this pep talk, and I'm happy to be back on the channel. I know it's been a while. I traveled through England and I was with my kids on spring break, and now I am back and I have some more content coming for you, some interviews. And if you want to be on the channel, feel free to go to my website, wendyrenee.com/share your story. There are now 3 options for you to share your story, 2 of which are anonymous. I knew I was going to find a way for you to share your story anonymously. And thank you so much for watching. And that's all we have for today. Take care.